Everyone, it's Nicole and I have another layout using the November Hit Kit Club, and I'm just showing you some of the products that I may be using. A lot of it is from this month's kit. I do have a couple of things that's from the previous month's kit, like the texture paste and the template, and then I'm using gesso from my stash. And so I'm just going through the LE Studio ephemera pack, and I'm just pulling everything out that is in red, because this time around I'm going to do a layout in red and white, and it's a layout of my grandson. Last Christmas, it was his first Christmas, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that my camera, my DSLR last year, broke on Christmas Day. I was devastated because it was my grandson's first Christmas, and I have maybe 5 pictures and they're not good at all. They're totally black, barely can see him. I think I got one good one, but they need to be cut down because they're not good quality whatsoever. And so I have 3 of them here, and I'm going to cut them all down to 3.5 by 3.5, but I'm going to end up using only one on this layout, and I'll use the other ones on another layout where I don't have a lot of pictures. And then there's even pictures that I took of all the kids, and it's all out of focus, like the camera just wasn't working well at all. My husband 2 days after Christmas went and bought me my new DSLR because he felt so bad, because he knew, us scrapbookers, things like that, the first Christmas is pretty much an epic moment that you want to make sure that you scrapbook, and then your camera to break. It just wasn't a fun day at all. But I do have a few pictures, so I'm going to scrapbook those today, and I'm going to use that music pattern paper, and except there's no music notes on it. It's sort of like before there's music notes. And then I'm going to take my gesso, and I'm just going to put a very, very thin layer to the background, because I don't want to cover the background. I just want to make it so that the background doesn't soak up the colors that I want to put on it. So basically I'm just putting a fine coat, and just so that when I put the eye ink colors in it, that they show in their vibrant colors, because they're not soaking into the pattern paper. And so that's going to take me a few seconds to do, and then I'm going to take out my new Ranger heat tool, which I absolutely love. I've had it for less than a month, and it's already on my fave tools, because it really is. I love that it's not super loud, because as you know, I'm always watching like TV shows or YouTube videos, and before, every time I took my heat tool out, I had to pause the movie or whatever I was watching, and then kind of do my thing with the heat tool, and then put it back on. But with this tool, you can barely hear it, so it's awesome. And plus, it doesn't scorch your papers. I don't know if I would necessarily love it for embossing. Not that I've tried it, so I can't judge, but I really love my Stampin' Up! One for embossing, because it's fast, it's hot, and it just zaps it. It just really embosses it really quickly. But for mixed media, I really love it. So I took 2 of my eye ink, and eye ink was in the color add-on in the November kit. And I took the tomato and the opaline. I don't think the opaline was in the November kit, but the opaline is like a white. And what it's doing is, the tomato was really quite bright, and adding the white to it really toned it down. And that's what I wanted, because the red in the papers is very much sort of pinkish red. So I didn't want a red. So by adding the white to the tomato, it really toned it down. Now I'm going to add that mixture in 2 ways, with my block, because I really like the way how it spreads it on the layout. And then I also use packaging, because both of them, it spreads it differently, and I just want it a little bit of each. So I did that, and now I'm just going to chuck out that wax paper, and I'm going to move on to the next stage. So I'm going to take that heat tool again, and I'm just going to dry it up. And it doesn't take long at all. Like I really, and I mean, the paper's warped a little bit, but it's not so bad. And I figure once it's in the album, it'll straighten out. I could have matted the whole thing on a different background, but for this time, I just decided to just leave it the way it was. I just liked that the colors sort of in the middle of the page with a little bit flowing to the side, and so I just left it that way. And now believe I'm looking for, yes, I went to look for my favorite things, star template, which was from last month's kit, and then I took the texture paste from Ranger, which was also from last month's kit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some of that opaline, or however you say it, the eyes ink, the white ink, into some texture paste or modeling paste, or Ranger calls it texture paste. And I'm going to mix it up, and what I like, it just makes it so that the modeling paste has some shimmer to it, and I really love that. And then I'm just going to, and I ended up adding quite a bit because I wanted it to shimmer quite a bit, and you probably won't be able to see it on the camera, but in person you can see the shimmer, and it's really pretty. And once it's done, I'm going to take that template and I'm just going to put it on a diagonal from the bottom left to the top right. And it's just subtle, it's just in the background. And I like the stars because, I mean, it's Christmas, and you know, so it was kind of fitting. And I didn't do the whole template, I just did a little bit, you know, parts of the template. And then I'm going to take my heat tool again and I'm going to dry it up. And what I do is I clean my tools right away, because if you don't, it turns into cement, and then it's like not fun to clean up. So I'd rather take the minute and a half that it's going to take when I do it to clean it, then wait and say, oh, I'm going to do it as soon as I'm done the video. And then it takes me 15-20 minutes because it turned into cement. So I make sure that I clean off my palette knife, and I make sure that I clean off, you know, the templates, because like I said, it turns it into cement. So this is going to take me a few more minutes because the texture paste is a little thicker. And so that is, you know, with the heat tool, it does speed it up a little bit, but it still takes me a bit of time. And I love that heat tool. It's not too hot. It doesn't scorch the paper. It just is, you know, perfect for mixed media. And this is like the 4th time that I've recorded this. So if I said that before, I'm sorry. Like I said, it's the fourth time that I've had to start it from the beginning. I tried to do it this morning, and I sounded like so sad this morning. My daughter texted me last night and said that she had brought my grandson to, she's at her boyfriend's house in another city, and my grandson's tooth, you know, how he fell and he broke his tooth and he chipped the other one. It was so infected, it was abscessed and everything. So she said that she brought him to a dentist there yesterday. And it's a bigger city than where she normally lives. And so anyway, she said, well, I want you to go see a specialist here in where they were. And so she was seeing her this morning at 8. And the specialist said, before she looked at him, she said, you know, for his age and everything, it would be better if we put him under and, you know, we take it out, because obviously it's not going to heal. Like, it's just getting worse, so we need to take it out. So my daughter said, okay. And then as soon as the dentist looked, she said, no, this needs to come out today. Like, it's bad. Like, he must be in so much pain. So she said, come back in 2 hours and we'll do it. Well, when my daughter called me and told me that, I wanted to be sick, because they were 2 hours away from where I am. It was an hour before the appointment. There was no way I could make it there in time. I was calling my husband and he was in meetings, so he couldn't pick up. So I thought, well, I'm going to try and stay busy and do a voiceover. Not a good idea. I was like almost bawling on the recording. So my husband finally called me back while I was doing a recording, and he said, it doesn't matter, let's still go and we can see him after, and take him out for a bit, and because he said, you won't be able to sleep tonight if you don't know that your little mason jar is okay. So we drove, and anyway, he had the dental surgery or whatever, and I guess he cried so hard, and then he cried himself to sleep. So by the time we got there, he had slept 2.5 hours. So when he saw us, he was so happy. It was so heartbreaking to see. And anyway, he was feeling much better though. And can you imagine the pain? And I guess the tooth was broken in 3 pieces in his gums, and it was totally infected. And so the dentist said, like, that needed to come out. Like, there was no way that should have stayed in there. So anyway, I'm glad that she went to, a bigger city with, more experienced dentists. Because if she would have stayed where she was, they would have sent her somewhere else, and it would have cost her like $600. But because they could do it where she was, it didn't cost her anything. So anyway, so I got to see my little papoose, and he was doing much better, and you could tell he wasn't in pain, and we took him out and he actually ate. And anyway, so this video is going to be much more upbeat because I feel so much better. I felt like so defeated this afternoon and or this morning. So I'm glad I erased all that and just started over. But anyway, while I was talking, I took my ink from my favorite things and I inked up the red. And then what I'm going to do is put some glossy accent over top, and it turns out so cute. And then I'm going to take the thickers that came in the kit and just write out Christmas. And then I took some letters from my stash and I just put ST as first. And on one of the cards, it was actually the back side to that LE Studio with all the cards that I cut apart. It's just like a red grid, and that's where I'm going to do my journaling about his first Christmas and how, devastated I was that the camera broke. And then, of course, one of the die cuts, because it spells out Mary, is an M, and I put it on there because his name is Mason, and every time I can put an M on this page, I do. So I took the M and I put it on that top card. And then I put a card right underneath that says ho ho ho. And I'm going to use a few other pieces of wood veneer that came in the LE Studio wood veneer pieces. And now I'm going to use the stamp set from LE Studio that came in the kit. And I'm going to stamp out that sleigh in red. And then I'm going to use an ink that came in last month's kit. And it's the gray, and I'm going to stamp the bottom of the sleigh in gray. And then I'm going to take a few more of the words from that stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it around the page. And if you saw there, I must not have cleaned off my stamp properly from last time because I ended up putting a big black blob on my red ink. But if you just take like a wipe or a Kleenex and you wipe it off right away, like you don't let it soak into that fabric, usually you can clean it off. So that's what I did. I just cleaned it off right away because that is probably one of my biggest pet peeve, is to get stains on my ink pads. Like, I don't like to contaminate my inks. I like my inks to stay nice. No contamination. I don't like that. A little quirky that way. So there was another little piece that was sort of it was just a square and it had a scallop circle. I cut it in half and I'm going to put it to a couple of places on the layout. And now I took another word from the stamp set. It just says Christmas, and I just stamped it in a few spots on the layout, and then I took another and I did that one in the red hot from My Favorite Things, and then I'm going to do the ho 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 in the slate gray, also from My Favorite Things, and that ink came in last month's kit, in October's kit. And now there was some stars from Freckled Fawn that came in this month's kit, and they're in silver, and I'm going to spread it out over the layout. And after that, there was, one of the LE Studio die cuts said December 25th, and this was taken on December 25th, so I used that. And then there was a little banner that said enjoy every minute, and the other wood veneer said merry and bright. So I'm just going to scatter those stars around the layout, and then I'm going to rub them in. And to rub-ons, I like to use my Teflon bone folder, and you can get those at Simon Says Stamps. They're not cheap. I think they're like $18, but they're really heavy duty. And if I don't do cards, but I used to do a lot of mini albums, and they're perfect for like getting those creases in there and folding, pages over and that kind of stuff. So I use mine, all the time, and I really like it. Like I said, it's not a cheap bone folder, but you can feel it in your hand. Like, it's really nice, heavy duty. So it's a nice bone folder, and I really like it for rub-ons. It really, because it's heavy duty, it really helps, to make sure that the rub-ons go on properly. Now I'm just going to staple that rub-on sheet to the background, because I hate it when they shuffle around and then the rub-ons end up gluing on your desk, and so I just like to staple them together. And now I'm going to take a few those silver stickers, and one says Xmas fun, play, and presents, and that's a picture of my grandson, and he was playing with the wrapping paper. And so we thought it was pretty funny that he had just gotten, all these toys, and he was having way more fun tossing that wrapping paper around. He thought it was just hilarious. So I'm going to take, it's like Glossy Accent. It is from Close to My Heart. And I'm just going to cover that number 1. And then that takes about, 5 to 6 hours to dry up. So you're better off to cover it up, put it somewhere where you're not going to put your hand on it, put another layout over top, like just leave it alone. I usually leave it alone overnight, and then the next day I'll glue it onto my layout. That's why this is the last thing I did, because then I know that, I wanted to do it on camera, but then I knew that I could just leave it alone and then not end up putting my elbow in it or the page on top of it. And that's going to pretty much wrap up this layout. And this is the third project using the November Hip Kit Club. I did 2 December daily pages and then this one layout. So I'm going to be doing another layout in the next few days. And here are a few close-ups of all the little clusters. And that's it. The page is done. So if you enjoyed this video and this page, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up to let YouTube know that you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. Bye.